hunger. And is hunger, why do we eat? Why are we feeling hungry? What it's all about. So let's just put that in there. So are you really hungry is the question. Why do we actually eat? Obviously, we eat when our body needs energy, and our energy is then expelled by moving the body, and challenging the brain and all of the things. And it's fuel. It's just like fuel for the body. But in this day and age, as we know, food is so readily available that we start to eat for different reasons. And we're going to go through some of those reasons today. So true hunger. Let's think about true hunger. Now, like I just said, it's fuel for your body. Your body will become empty. Your fuel, your glucose levels will drop when you need actual food. And what are the signs of that? Because I don't think we actually remember what they are. Really, we should be feeling a little bit empty in our tummy, in our stomach area. So absolutely, not completely empty, but your tummy might start growling a little bit, if it's obviously, if you're in pain in your tummy, you've gone too far. Your body probably needs a little bit more hunger, or it could be something else completely, of course. But generally, when we're hungry, we should feel a little bit empty in our tummy before we go to eat our food. And that is true hunger. You might feel a little bit wobbly if the blood sugars have dropped more than they should do. And again, that's not a good sign. That's kind of, you've gone too far for that one. So true hunger is when we feel empty and we've gone kind of 4 hours without food. Now, obviously, if you're a diabetic, these rules don't apply. But generally, I know a lot of you guys aren't. So around 4 hours, if you've eaten a good breakfast now, so I've just had breakfast at 8 o'clock. So I will not need any food till 12 o'clock at least. Yeah. So this is really important part to know, that our bodies do need that area in between eating, that it has its time to digest the food that you've eaten. Tiredness. Sometimes when you feel tired, you think it's the blood sugars that's telling you that you're tired, and therefore you eat something and it perks you up. And often we'll go for something sugary, won't we? Because we'll think that that'll perk us. Oh, God, I feel ever so tired. I'll have some chocolate, or I'll have a cup of coffee and it'll perk you up. But basically, if you're tired, sleep. Really important to sleep. Now, I would always say, if you're getting these symptoms, one of the first things that we can do is actually drink water. I haven't put that one on there, but often thirst, it does. Thirst gives you the same triggers as hunger. Okay, so you might think you're hungry, but actually you're thirsty. So always go and grab a glass of water. There's no, you can't go wrong by having fluid, water, generally water. So, tiredness can sometimes be because you're dehydrated. So again, check and have a glass of water, see if that perks you up. Your brain needs a lot of water, needs hydrating every single day. 80% of your brain is actually fluid. So we've got to keep that hydration in the body, and that can actually give you the symptoms of tiredness and of hunger. Now, cravings. Let's have a think about cravings. Are you craving food because you are walking by a shop and you can smell it? So obviously smelling something can help your saliva to start to stimulate, to get ready for food to eat. And that is something that I class as like a craving. Sometimes you can crave foods because you're not eating a good variety of nutrients. So are you having a good balanced diet? Are you having all the foods that you need? Often if you are craving salt foods, it can be that you're short on magnesium. So if you're not having a good range of, sorry about that. And if you're not having a good range of vegetables, then the magnesium would actually be lower in your body, and that can help you crave the salty foods. Sugary foods, again, I don't really think you've got a deficient of anything if you're craving sugary foods, but it can be an indicator of poor gut health. So your gut lining has all the bacteria in. If you're coming to our gut health day, you will know all about that. But what that can do, it actually can help you crave sugary foods if you haven't got a good range of microbiome in your gut. You're not going to really know these things. We're going to have to trial and error. But basically, if you're eating a good, high protein, low carb, loads of vegetables, high fiber, high fiber, high protein, and a lower carb foods, then meals, then really this should not be here. Craving should go, especially protein, because it satisfies you more. Habit. Is it a habit that you always have a biscuit with your afternoon tea or a morning coffee? Is it something that you've grown into used to having? You know, in the old days, we used to say you should have breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. That's untrue. We now find out that slogan was made by Kellogg's cornflakes. So it was a complete commercial con to make us eat their products. So actually habit for eating a breakfast. If you don't want to eat breakfast now, if you don't feel like you want it, don't have it. You don't have to have it. As long as you're drinking lots of hydrating water in the mornings, you know, you can go longer without having that breakfast. So are we having a habit of eating lunch because we want the lunch? You know, I'm not saying go without meals completely, but we probably can get to the habit of eating too much because it is available, isn't it? Is it a habit that you always have a takeaway on a Friday night? Is it a habit? You know, have a question yourself on these habits. Is it a habit that you always want something sweet after you've had a meal? Because when you were a kid, you always had a pudding. We were talking about that the other day. How come we always had a pudding when we were kids? But the food wasn't so highly processed, was it then? So, you know, having that sweet thing after your meal, is it a habit? I often, I stopped that habit for myself by reaching for an apple instead. And that became then it was the full stop to my meal. Or another way is just to have a hot drink at that time instead. Now, emotion, this is a big one. I think a lot of people do this. Emotion can trigger eating unnecessarily. And you're not hungry, you're emotional and you're feeding your emotions. So are you that person when you are, when you think about it, when you go out for a meal, we go when we're celebrating something. We go when we're sad about something, the funeral. We go, you know, it's always indicated to emotions, isn't it? Food can be. When you were a child, did your mum say, oh, if you fell over and you're crying, oh, have a sweet, you'll feel better. You know, have something sweet, you'll feel better. So these habits and emotions, they work together. All of this can work together. Now, boredom. Are you eating because you're bored? You've got vast times in the day where you're not really doing anything. No one else is there, and all the food's in the cupboard, and you can't resist it. And it's all tasty, and you really want more of it. So boredom. Again, fill your days. Get outside for a walk. When you exercise, it can actually stem the feeling of hunger when you go for exercise initially. And then as long as you've got good nutrients, it shouldn't make you stimulate hunger unless your body is not correctly functioning. So you might, when you start to exercise, it will make you feel tired, obviously. Definitely go for hydration first and then start to be thinking about eating for your body and how it's expending energy in a different way. Now, little story about me is that last May, when I had COVID, June it was actually, I lost my taste and smell and it hasn't come back. Now, I realise that, and I've actually lost weight, funnily enough, because what I realised is that I was eating because I wanted the taste of sweetness in my mouth. So it wasn't that I needed the food. And I've really noticed my full trigger. So, for instance, we went out the other night for an Indian, and it was just too much food. Now, normally I'll be going, oh, it's tasty. I'll have some more. Oh, it's tasty. Well, because I can't taste. When I can actually feel that my tummy is full and I don't need any more. So I'm now often leaving food on the plate, which has never been heard of for me. I'd always go for more. And it is about the taste in my mouth. So it's the taste of the food that was making me eat more than I needed to eat. So just question that for yourself. Obviously, it's quite miserable also for me. But on the other hand, it really has made me realise that I'm eating not necessarily because I'm hungry at all. It's just that the flavor of the food was triggering me to have more and more of it. So just check in with yourself. Why are you eating? Maybe you're doing all of those. And then just start to be aware, be mindful of how you can help yourself with those little areas. So I hope that helped today. Let me